My name is Barry Richardson, serving with Mission Training International. When people hear my name, many people in the mission community at least, ask if I'm related to Don Richardson. And I actually am. He's my dad, Don Richardson, the wheat farmer from northeastern Colorado. Anyway, it's good to address you this morning. I want to start off by asking a question. What does it take to start a business? Just anybody, volunteer. A lot of nerve, I heard. Capital, contacts, sacrifice. A plan, yeah. Employees, okay. Skill. What else? A market, knowledge of markets, yeah. Ability to risk, right. Okay, tax ID number, yeah, very important. I want to make a statement. Okay, expectation of, okay, unreasonable expectation of success. I want to make a statement here. Language learning is like starting a business. And I think it's a good model. We hear a lot about the entrepreneurial spirit in our country these days. College graduates get out of school and can't find a job, and so they come up with an idea and start their own business. You may have heard the term mompreneurs. Moms at home starting their own business. Recently I heard of a young girl, I think she was maybe 17 years old or something like that, was trying to figure out a way to cure hiccups and came up with this idea of a compound and forming it into a lollipop, and she called it Hiccupops. I thought that was pretty innovative. You may have heard of the local entrepreneur who's come up with an innovative new product. It's called corduroy pillowcases. They're so popular they're making headlines. I just had to see if you were awake. Yeah, anyway, entrepreneur, the dictionary definition is to undertake, a person who organizes and manages any enterprise or business, usually with considerable initiative and risk. Now, that unreasonable optimism, I think no person that's going to enter into a new business or start a new business goes in thinking this is likely to fail. They have optimism, even though they realize it's going to be messy. So going into it, you realize both of those things. So the task of learning another language and starting a business have a lot in common. It takes ownership, which involves responsibility and risk. And if you think about it, there's no way to fake it, really. When we started our missionary language learning in West Africa, I was very careful in my pronunciation, and so oftentimes I'd go out in the community and I would say something, and people thought I had a higher level than I did because I said it pretty well. And so they'd come back with a string of something that I couldn't understand at all, and I'd have this blank look on my face, and I'd have to say, "Newen," which means I don't understand. One day I was having a pretty good day, I felt like. My wife was with me, and we were talking to people, and I was starting to become a little bit conversational. But anyway, somebody said something my wife didn't understand, so she asked me to translate, and so I did, thinking I got it right. But there was a young man standing there who knew English pretty well, and when he heard my translation, I heard him say off to the side, I heard him say, "Ayuwen," which means he didn't understand. And it totally deflated me. But really, there's no way to fake it. Have you ever heard the term passionary? This was a new one for me. I was listening to a missionary speaker who worked in Albania for 20 years or more, and he was talking about passionary. He said that the Apostle Paul was a passionary. And he said there's a huge difference between mission and passion. Mission is required. Passion is acquired. Mission is duty. Passion is delight. Mission says, I have to witness. Passion says, I get to witness. And when you think about language and language learning, we all realize how closely connected relationship and language learning are. I think that the thing that we need to develop and we need to try to cultivate in others is a passion for relationship. And relationship is another thing that is very personal. Growing up, I'm an introvert by nature. And growing up, my brother was very much an extrovert, and I was always really jealous of him because he was very comfortable in groups or just almost any setting. He was very comfortable. But for me, I was kind of a fringe person. I'd have a conversation with maybe one or two people, but it was hard for me to engage a group, and I was always jealous of my brother. But when I began to think about missions, and certainly when we went overseas and began our missionary career, I realized how important it was for me to kick myself out the door, so to speak, to develop relationships with people. They're really key. They're a personal thing. We need to take ownership of that, and we need to take ownership of developing relationships with others. Even our relationship with God, if you think about it. I've never met a missionary candidate who says, I'm really looking forward to all those acquaintances and superficial relationships I'm going to be able to develop on the field. No one ever says that. They want heart-to-heart relationships with people. And the only way you get that is through language learning. Going back to our business model, does the owner of a business do everything for himself? No. The answer obviously is no. What do you call it when a business owner gets someone else to help him? Yeah, say it louder. Yeah, outsourcing. I heard the word outsourcing. Outsourcing. I mentioned that my dad was a wheat farmer, and we had a pretty good size operation, but not that big. And so for harvesting our wheat, it was really not cost effective for us to own a combine, which these days cost $300,000 or $400,000. But we had a crew come in. We had a good friend from Oklahoma, and he would start combining down in Texas and would move up through his area in Kansas and into Colorado, and he would harvest our wheat for us. My dad had outsourced that part of his business to this guy. It wasn't that it took his responsibility away from the business, but he had outsourced that. Anybody remember the old Home Depot slogan? Yeah, you can do it. We can help. We realize that language learning is a daunting task. And when we're engaging people as trainers or as facilitators, coaches, we need to let people know that they have ownership of their language learning business. They're language learning entrepreneurs. And we can help. Now, as we were in our devotion this morning, the thought struck me again of how important it is for us as facilitators and coaches to take that posture of a servant. And really communicate to those that we're helping that they are able to do this, to set them free in the sense on their own journey of language learning. So my encouragement to language learners is you can do it. My encouragement to us as facilitators is we can help.